Hey folks, welcome to Actual Play. Time for another rousing episode of Rebel Crown. Hi, I'm Strash, he, him. You can find me on Twitter at StrashA. I'll be playing the Vengeant tonight, aka, oh no, I forgot my own name. What am I doing? Somebody help!
Arter.
Arter, thank you. So yeah, that should be fun. I'm actually pretty excited about this. For those of you that are celebrating it, happy Halloween. And, oh yes, in other magnificent news, because we live in the middle of terrible times, just want to remind everyone that all donations and or subscriptions to the channel are going to be forwarded and split between BLM and the Translegal Defense Fund until further notice, because the world is a trash fire. So that's where we are these days. Anyway, Luke, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I love this description in chat of Arter as a Final Fantasy character.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm well. My name is Luke. You can find me on Twitter at Wildwoods Games. I am a game designer. I didn't get my folk horror game done by Halloween. Maybe I'll get it done by the end of November. We'll see. Lauren, how are you holding up?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Everything considered. As I was saying before the stream, some of my afternoon was spent watching YouTubers rank groceries because that was about the level of a cognitive load I could handle. But I'm very excited to have the opposite of that tonight and play Candle there, who uses she, her pronouns. She is the claimant for the Rebel Crown game that we're playing today. She is has been cast as a witch. I'm not unclear on like how true that is, but her branch of the family was cast as a witch, cut off, brutally slaughtered, lots of fire, and now she's trying to reclaim the throne with her coterie that continues to grow after kicking up the Sagelands. I also guess I'm Lauren, by the way. I use she, they, and I'm at the Stray Kiwi on Twitter. How are you doing, Judd?
I'm all right. I realize that I don't know which province your family's home castle was in,
Oh yeah, shoot.
and I'm
Yeah,
curious.
Salt Crag,
Yeah.
or wait, where are the witches?
I
The
mean,
witches
well,
are in Salt Crag, yeah.
the witches, yeah, are in Salt Crag. I don't know if that was your home.
I've always imagined it on the coast.
Yeah,
I mean, Salt Crag has a coast on the east.
that's true.
No? Am I
no,
reading the map wrong?
I think it borders on another country.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
probably.
other countries.
It
Yep.
doesn't have the little wave lines.
Yeah, yeah.
I am bad at reading map.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like it's probably not in High Strath because that's where like the family's other seat is, right? Where
Right.
Madoc is. So like on the narrow coast, maybe
Could be.
on that sticky outy bit.
Could be White Beam. Somewhere. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Sounds good.
We'll figure it out.
We will play to find out. Hey, I'm Judd. He, him.
So informed
And
today.
yeah, I mean, yeah, we are clearly distracted messes today, and that is all right. That's where we are right now. That's our gaming, and it just kind of bleeds into everything, and that's okay. We'll take care of each other and have some fun and play some games and roll some dice and see how this goes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and it's nice to be here. I like my. It's like every other week. Like I have a week. I feel like I have a week off where like I only play a couple games, and then the heavy gaming.
That's
week
actually
is
how I
just
do.
great.
I actually do most of my
Yeah.
design on my week off.
Yeah.
So
It's intense. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. So it's game week, and that's nice. And here we are, and we're starting with some downtime. I think through the course of that downtime, we'll figure out where we want to go next, and maybe do just like some free play a little bit. Just kind of, there. I think there are scenes that we're looking for that we actually wrote in our Roll20 column.
yeah, for sure.
And yeah, just kind of figure it out. And shall we jump into that? Does anyone have an idea for some downtime they want to pursue? Anybody have stress they need to get rid of, or solace they're seeking?
Heck yes. We could always, I don't know, start like jumping in with our vicing together.
Sure. Whatever you want. I'm actually pretty flexible right now. I'm just taking a look. I've got to actually heal. I think
That's
because
right.
I have nasty harm, and this uses like original blade healing, which is or not original blade healing, but like the published blade healing, which is pretty slow.
Rough.
So maybe a couple of seasons before I'm actually in full fighting shape. So we'll see.
Cool.
I got mauled by a horse. It's not
Yeah.
great.
Right.
But yeah, Lauren, if you wanna, I have some. I actually before I talk to your character, I may need to actually talk to Brother Audrin there.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm down for that order of operations.
What does Kale do on like a day-to-day basis? Like
What do nobles do, actually?
That's a good question.
I mean, I'm not expecting you to actually noble, so like I don't expect you to like litter around a castle and you know like boss servants around or something. But like I don't know, what do you do? Because I see this as like you walking around in sunlight and Kale and Audrin and Arter talking like in the under the eaves in the shadows somewhere, you know, like about the future and stuff.
Yeah, it's probably a mix of like I'm sure she spends some of her time training or like with it sort of riding a horse or like fighting because who knows what we're gonna have to do in the next couple of like years or so. And I don't think she's that proficient at a blade, but I imagine after like our previous few sorties, like having a sword proficiency is probably a good idea.
So are you like practicing combat in like some sort of like sand-strewn pit with dummies and a few of the people from the I'm sorry, I've got a
Oh,
cat
heck yeah.
that's
Oh,
just
exactly
like
that.
doing everything in her power to be annoying right now.
And then probably also like meeting people, talking to people, shoring up like sort of relationships with the people in the Sigilants before we have to take off, kind of thing. Dining with the bandits.
So if you're training, I think before Arter heads out to the training yard, I think he stands next to Audrin and is looking at Kale, and clearly his speech is directed that direction. But I think he casually says, as if you are completely referencing anything that's in his mind. Like he grunts and just says, "What are we gonna do about the seat?" Like as if it's a continuation of a conversation he and Audrin have had before, even though clearly this is not a thing we've ever talked about.
I love this trope. This is one of my favorite tropes. Sorry, what was the last word there? Start with seat?
Seat, yes, referencing the seat of power, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Aron just like makes a kind of non-committal noise. It's like, in the end, that's the question, isn't it?
Not really. The question here is if she's going to last all the way to it. Continuing my tradition of not mincing words.
Yeah.
It's so funny when you've got a cat in your lap.
I'm sorry. She actually really likes being held like this, and she's really cute. But like, I started stream right before. Like, I gave her some attention right before, but like as soon as I started stream, she's like, "Is now cuddle time?" I'm like, "Oh, all right, cat, fine." Because she was knocking stuff over and like wandering around, just being a general pest. So I was like, "All right, this is the best I can do."
I appreciate your perspective, Arter. It's good to be reminded sometimes that the journey has multiple stages. What troubles you is whether we can survive long enough to get there. What troubles me is if we can
It's not the survival I'm worried about.
hold it at all.
It's her will. She keeps saying if.
She does it that.
You can't win on if. This is not a game you can only half commit to.
Can't ask people to risk their lives on an if. Every step we take down this road is another inch we're asking people to stick their necks out. And if we quit before we get there, then the axe falls.
I think he gives you a look and kind of grunts and like heads out into the practice yard and sort of like watches Kale practicing for like a hot minute or two. Do you have any reaction to this, Lauren?
Oh, I said, would you like if I heard some of what was said, or is it better if...
No, I think I did it in private for a second.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
worry, I'm about to kick over an anthill here in about 2 seconds. Because
Yeah,
Artera
yeah.
has 0 chill and 0 subtlety.
I think to add to that poetry, I think like we see Kale like make a fumble and sort of like swing a sword, or maybe she's sparring with someone and like she trips or something. Just like yeah, just to look a little bit shaky.
I think whoever it is, like Artera, like offers you a hand up and like pulls you up to your feet, and whoever the hell it is, like he's already erased them in his mind. It's almost like they're not even there. Actually, no. This is something he would be careful about. I think he just like looks at the person and like gives them the like clear out, I'll take your place kind of thing. And then when he squares off against you, he just like looks you dead in the eye and then goes, "Why the hell are you trying for this throne?"
And I think Kale like sort of wipes the sand off of her like face where she fell, and looks at Artera. I'm sorry, what was the question again? So I can answer it.
Why are you trying for this throne?
And I think she says the same reason you're trying for this throne.
No, you're not.
Why are you trying for this throne then, Ate?
That's not the question. Stop dodging.
What do you want me to say? You'd never listen to me. So why the fuck does it matter what I have to say to you? Just tell me what you want me to say. I'll say it.
He like scratches his nose and looks uncomfortable for a second, and then he says like, "Listen, when I heard that you were gonna try this shit, I went to my first in command and I had a talk, and he told me that I was being an absolute idiot because I had a successful mercenary company that had made enough of a name that everybody wanted to hire them. We made a good thing," he said. "I had a life, I had money coming in, I had people that loved and respected me," and he asked me if all of that was worth some petty act of vengeance. I packed my bags, signed over the entire company to him, and was gone by the next morning. I am acting with absolute determination, and I am questioning yours.
You can't make me responsible for your decisions.
I'm not asking you to be responsible for mine. I'm asking you to tell me why you're going for this seat. What drives you?
What drives me is knowing. Oh shoot! What's our? I'm bad at the names today.
Lulaire?
Matic?
Matic. I was like, that's with the name.
Oh yeah, let me swap the map. Sorry, somebody asked in chat. Go on.
I'd be lying if I said this wasn't personal. Of course, it's personal. But the future is more than that one night, and I'm not blinded by revenge. For I have an eye to the future and a real fear of the tyranny that Matic will cement further amongst these lands, knowing full well that he is a selfish individual who will do anything to get ahead with no care for the people.
I think like Artera stares you like in the eyes, doing that thing where he like looks in the left eye, looks in the right eye, looks in the left eye again, and then shakes his head and he says, That's not gonna get you all the way there. Those are highfalutin ideals. That's soft emotions. That's not gonna help when you're in the middle of fire and about to die. That's not the thing you claw your way out of a grave for.
And then I think like that's when Kale like shoves the sword tip down like into the sand and kind of like leans on it and is like, well then what the fuck do you want me to say? Because you keep asking me questions, you'll invite me into the conversation, and when I say a thing that you don't like, I'm wrong, and that's the end of it. Think about with Arn. When I made a decision to bring Arn along, because I know Arn can handle himself, and he's fine, he lived. And yet, you brushed aside my opinion of the situation. You forced your voice over that room, over both he and I. So what do you want me to say?
Kale, neither of us is incredibly young at the moment, and it's very seldom that I actually quote my age at you. But in the end of days, you were raised by tutors. You were taught about education and lore and things that do not matter to me. I earned my stripes on multiple battlefields. When it comes to combat, I trust my experience and my instincts over yours, yes.
The
It's
way
not-
that you respect my thoughts and opinions. So I haven't seen it, if I'm incredibly honest. And don't get me wrong, I value your opinion. I wouldn't have you along on this journey.
I'm not
if I didn't-
asking you to listen to my opinion. I'm asking what lights the fire that keeps you alive when you're fighting against impossible odds. We control the Sedgelands. Lolaire controls all of the other provinces. So far we have faced very little resistance because they haven't unified in opposition to us, considering us little more than a nuisance. It's gonna get bad. It's gonna get bad before we win. And when your people are dying and people are asking why this is happening, I hear you say things like, if we make it there. That's not the sort of thing that somebody who is asking people to lay down their lives should be saying. I need to know how committed you are. I need to know if we're wasting our time here.
And I think that's when Kale, like, the frustration in her face, like, softens a bit into a smirk. And I think that's when she clocks, like, hearing you say, like, you know, if we make it, she's like, oh, okay, this is what this is about. Fucking
Yeah,
hell.
absolutely.
Like, if you, like, I think the irony there, I think what's going through her brain there is, like, that irony of, like, Altera being a straight talker, blunt person, but not being able to get to the point in this
Oh yeah,
conversation.
super bad at this game.
And I think she does a little bit of a half eye roll and says, like, Altair, you put too much faith in the black and white meaning of words as they're spoken from the mouth. When I was having that conversation with Una, it was important for me to be honest. Because if I were in her shoes and I looked at us and I saw what we did and who we are and what resources we have, I'd say that you're living in a fantasy. If I came to her and said, we will absolutely 100% take the throne, no questions asked, what would you say?
I think that if you're going to inspire a rebellion, your belief has to be stronger than the naysayers.
Of course, I have conviction. It was more important to me in that moment to foster a bit of trust by being open and being vulnerable and being honest, because we may not make it all the way. That is a very real possibility.
No, it's not. That's what I'm trying to say. If you believe that, if you think that is a real possibility, we're in trouble. You only make this play already assuming that you've won. If you don't, you'll fail.
Well, then why don't you lead this? You have claim to title.
Nonsense. He shakes his head and he says, like, I don't want seats or power. I don't give a shit about any of that. I have...
What do you give a shit about?
I think he, like, leans in and he says, there is an asshole on that throne that gets to hurt people. And he gets to get away with it because no one can say otherwise. He not only thinks that it's his right, he does it without even considering it. And no matter how little I am, and no matter how unimportant I am in his eyes, I am going to make him hurt the same way. And if I die, I will claw my way out of the fucking grave and use whatever ounce of willpower remains to try and haunt him down.
I think internally, Kale's like, I've been saying the fucking same thing as you this whole time.
I totally agree. It's just that I was like, I need you to tell this to me. Because, like, so far, most of the things that you're like, well, this is important for justice. And he's just like, no. This is about the fact that the motherfucker hurt me and I want to hurt him back. It's simple. It's got nothing to do with highfalutin ideals.
And I think, like, that's when Kale, I think Kale has a sort of internal moment where she's like, this is going nowhere. Like, I said that.
Yeah, for sure.
He said the same thing. And I think she just, like, says, like, just fight me. Like, let's just do training, you know? Like, sort of, like, takes the sword out of the ground, like, sort of, like, doesn't point it at you, but sort of holds it, like, sort of in a guarded position. And it's like, let's just, like, I don't think she says anything. I think she just, like, yeah, sort of does, like, that we need to fight this out, obviously.
All right, awesome. Sadly, even though I as Trash do not believe in this, clearly Altair is 100% a firm believer in, yes, let us just fight this out, because that is clearly how this is going to get settled.
My ideas cannot defeat yours in the marketplace of ideas, so instead, I will defeat them on the battlefield.
Exactly. I'm sure it's not the first time we've, like, solved the problem by just, like, scrapping.
No, that's legit. That's legit. Do we have a phrase for this? Like, was there some, like, original bet or problem that we did this with?
Yeah,
like that like you know, like that an invocation, because, like, obviously we're family, we grew up as kids together, right? So, like, is there, like, a specific thing that you know, we say to each other when this is about to happen? Or
they definitely it's gonna, yeah, it not quite sure what the exact phrasing is, but it's probably, yeah, like a little like phrase we came up with.
Maybe when
sorry, somebody said Altair misunderstands what duel of wits actually means. Best quote.
Maybe when you were young, Kale's mother would say, throw them, you know, when you had too much energy, or you were tussling, or, you know, your manners weren't good, you know, she would say, toss them in the sand pit, which is, like, where you know, where the sparring happens, right? And there were probably times you had to, like, spend the night in the sand pit, not in, like, a terrible abusive way, but in the like go stay outside, you're 12 and you've got too much, you know,
energy,
and you're giving me crap about having to bathe, and I'm done with it. Go in the sand pit with your cousin.
So maybe it's like toss it, or like toss him or something like that. When she lifts the sword up to Altair.
All right, cool. Yeah, do we want to just narrate the outcome? Do you want to roll some dice? Like, how do you want to? Where do you want to say this goes?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm good with either, I think. I'm good if we wanted to sort of, like...
Let's do a narrative position. I will say a thing that Altair does, and then you tell me how it ends. You get to decide the ending. Perfect. Does that sound fair?
That sounds good.
So I think Altair very much, like, usually when he's training, everybody goes at, like, half speed, right? Because what you're actually trying to do is, like, practice, right? And then you speed it up until, like, it starts becoming, like, muscle memory and stuff like that. But, like, there's always this consideration that no one's actually trying to hurt each other, right? Like, you're mostly just, like, practicing. And I think that Altair definitely, like, puts pressure on you at this point, right? Like, it's you can sense that there's still no, like, doubt that he's not, like, trying to kill you because it's, like, wooden practice swords or whatever. But, like, he's definitely trying to, like, keep you off your guard and off your balance, and it's, like, testing you to see how you react, right? So this is the classic kung fu. I can tell what kind of person you are by your kung fu kind of, like, what is it, metaphor? I don't know. But yeah, it's akin to that. So you tell me what Kale responds as there. Does that sound good?
Oh yeah, that's super great. I know exactly what happens to her. I think Kale's fighting style is very like she's still heated from that conversation, so she's a little bit too quick and like goes for the easy like sort of openings that you may like as the weapon master, of course, probably like did that on purpose and then like sort of to catch Kale out like at a more vulnerable position. And I think I think she gets like a bit more frustrated as like she goes for these hits and like you like sort of step around it and stuff. I think Kale probably again trips over or something or loses her balance after like a particularly aggressive like play at Altair. And I think like if it's okay with you, get that sort of mirrored, you help me up again, and I'm like, don't you dare fucking question my conviction again. Like
I think Altair has like at this point dropped the topic and shifted to a different one in his mind, because clearly he doesn't externalize any of this. But I think what he says is that's anger. A little anger is good. It's fuel. A little too much anger poisons your play.
I'm good to end on that. It's like Kale soaks in that advice.
Cool. Does that feel good? Are we
that was
all right
great.
there?
We just get a shot of like Aaron sitting on a bench in the shadow of the like the like castle wall or whatever, just like watching this, just like sighing, like, oh god.
Somebody in chat was like, I would like to convince you. I would like to use skirmish, please. Actually, it might be desperate limited for someone else, but I feel like for Altair, if you're trying to convince him with skirmish, it's great effect. So
Definitely.
cool. All right. I'm good. Does anybody else want to have a scene or a downtime action?
Yeah, I would love to work on a long-term project.
Ooh.
Nice.
Oh, that was you, Luke. Sorry, I just saw that. Who said that in chat? Go on.
Yeah, it was me. That was my good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what this long-term project looks like is it's just Aaron, like, hanging out in the like the courtyard where our like revolutionary faction is starting to like come together. Because the project I want to work on is, well, the thing I would like to do is start a long-term project actually, which is, in pursuit of my drive, discover who in our conspiracy we can truly trust. And like, here's the thing: we've grown fast, right? Like, it's been 5 months, if that, and we already have, we got 2 factions, we've got a levy, we got a bunch of new allies, we theoretically control the Sedgelands. Like, we're growing too fast to really keep up. And so I think Aaron is just like, not like pessimistically, I think just like in a really pragmatic, matter-of-fact way, is just like convinced that we've missed some people, right? We've overlooked some serpents hiding in our midst. Like, that just has to be true. And so I think this is just, yeah, like Aaron hanging out, like we just saw, like on the practice fields watching people train. It's like Aaron going out drinking in the pubs in Bellheather. It's Aaron, wandering around the southern markets as we've previously seen. It's like a montage that takes like, the whole of the, the month-long downtime or whatever. And just like the whole time as he is like among the people and like always on the periphery of the group, never in the center of it, like keeping his ears open for all of the little tells that people aren't being fully honest, and for all the little private conversations that they're having among themselves.
Nice.
Yeah. So Judd, how big is my clock to like
uncover a spy?
Yeah, uncover a spy. I think that sounds.
That sound about right. I think it's a
Yeah,
4.
that sounds like what I'm trying to do.
I think it's a 4-count clock.
Hell yeah, love to uncover a spy. And I think this is a consort. Ooh, blurry Judd.
Uh-oh.
Trapped in the Speed Force. Is that what it's called in the Flash?
It is.
Boom. There we go.
There's
pop
a lot of
culture
forces in DC, like the Green and the Speed Force. But the Speed Force is the Flash one, yeah.
Judd's caused a flashpoint. It's all good.
Uh-oh, hang on.
I'm dying. Judd's frozen.
Oh,
It's all chaos. Hang on. If we lose
Yeah.
people, we'll
Troy
reconnect.
Barnes
And
walks in holding a stack of pizzas.
Yes.
oh, we may have honestly lost the Judd. Oh,
there you
nope,
go.
Nope, gone. Fortunately, I think if Judd drops and reconnects, we're still in the right spots.
Born, but not forgotten.
Come back to us, the Judd.
I think I'm back. Am I
Oh,
back?
we hear you. We don't see you yet.
All right.
Invisible Judd.
I was just telling everyone, I
Hey.
think that if you come back on video, you should, like, just lock right back into place.
Great.
And you are.
uh,
Perfect.
turns out you have to plug computers in. Like you cannot just let them sit around all day.
Oh, who
Figure
knew?
that out on their own.
You need the juice.
Need the juice.
That good computer juice.
So Luke, I love it. You're looking for spies.
Yeah, and I think it's a consort because, like, the thing that is here's my kind of like reasoning. The thing that is at stake here is not does Oren know can Oren tell if a person is dishonest or not. We know
Yeah.
that Oren can tell that. Oren can infallibly do that. The
Right.
the thing that is at stake here is can Oren cast the net wide enough and like catch a broad enough sample of the population to find the right person swimming among the school of fish.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think consort is the thing here. And yeah. That's all I got.
Cool.
So this is a fortune roll, I believe.
Yeah.
On accounts of being a long-term project. Effect, whatever. I don't have any bonus dice, I don't think. Nope. See how it goes.
Nice.
Hell yeah. This plan's going really well.
Right. Yeah, I think you're starting to, piece things together. And it's not even like outmaneuvering some faraway spy master, right? It's I like how you describe it as like finding the words in between the words that people are saying and like what they mean and what and finding those little lies and then like tracking them until you find out what they really mean.
Until you find the big lies, right?
Yeah. Love it. Cool. What else? Who else is up for something?
I'm happy to make my rolls real quick. I have two pretty simple
Yeah.
activities, one of which is like recovery, which is just me getting medicined.
Yep.
So
Raj, from a mechanical standpoint, do you want to wait on that one until I have relieved some stress so that then I can help you with that one?
oh, that would be lovely. Yes, I
Because
will.
right
I will
now
happily
I
wait
am
for that.
On the tipping point, where if I help, I will trauma.
That's fine.
Yeah. So, stress. I've been thinking about this. I think the interesting thing about the loss of the crossroads, the temporary
Yeah.
loss of the crossroads, is that looking at the vice as listed on my sheet, it feels like the loss of the crossroads is actually really a Kale problem, not an Oren problem. Because service, ministering to the lost, is what my is what my downtimes with Kale look like. And like that doesn't have to happen at a crossroads. Kale and I
Right.
could do that anywhere. But Kale's solace is prayer, and that can only happen at the crossroads.
Right.
I added oh shoot. Oh gosh, what's Atera's
Camaraderie?
camaraderie?
Camaraderie,
Yeah.
and actually, I think I do art. I
Oh, yeah, I
don't
think
remember
I'd
what
added art.
subtype that
Yeah.
is, but it's the other one. I do sketching.
I think it is just a subtype.
It's just art.
Yeah. How do you express
Perfect.
yourself?
I love it. Yes, excellent. That is definitely
Yeah.
a thing.
In which case, Lauren and Judd, feel free to tell me if this feels like cheap and like we're skirting around the intent of that entanglement. Lauren,
No.
do you want to do a different version of the downtime where we hang out and relieve stress together? That's not
yeah.
at a crossroads.
Let's do it.
It's more like just hanging out. And so what I would like to pitch is I think we're playing the Wraith game.
Oh, perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
So
I
it's
love it.
like yeah, and so it's like the full moon. It's like early in the evening. You know, the sun has like just gone down, but it's probably not. It's not like evening yet. Yeah, and I think like, you know, you tell me where you're going or where you're coming from, but I think you just like see Oren kind of like sat down. I suppose, where is our headquarters nowadays? Are we still operating out of
Yeah.
the inn that we took from that trader guy who ran away? Or like have we
Yeah.
have we like fully, are we living under Drostan's hospitality in the keep that the dagger keep that he now owns?
That makes
Well, like,
sense.
That would make sense. Yeah, yeah.
makes
So I
sense.
imagine Fergus probably just like shut up the inn or sold it
Yeah.
quickly or something, or
Yeah, so in which case I think there is a very small garden in the heart of the dagger keep that, Judd, just for you, I think was built by the petty queen of the Sedgelings
Oh,
as a
totally.
campus,
Yeah.
as a place for them to kind of like, you know, hang out when
Yeah.
they like spend time together. And you know, and I think like over the course of the last month we've like located this fairly well hidden garden that probably doesn't have any like doors. There's just like secret ways into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Oren is just like, yeah, sitting in there and has like the wraith board like set up in front of him. And is just kind of like contemplating the pieces under the moonlight.
nice. I think Cal's probably like cleaned up and like had a bath or something after that training. So I think looks a bit more put together and is probably wearing some like sort of simple noble clothing. I feel like it's gonna be kind of like a breezy, because we're still in the sort of summertime, springtime, right? So like,
We're,
something
like
a bit,
late summer now.
yeah, like late summer. So like
coming into it.
maybe like a sort of layer over top, and then, you know, like something a bit more breathable. And I think like it stops and looks at Aaron and takes a seat opposite. I think like after the conversation with Ater is a bit quieter than she usually is.
Good evening.
Good evening. I trust that the evening is faring you well.
I could do with a bit more of a breeze, but can't have everything.
If you need breeze, you should go talk to Ater. He's full of hot air.
Best quote, sorry.
Yeah, and I think Aaron grins. Says, perhaps, but some truth mixed in with it, I thought.
And I think Kale sort of tips her head to the side when, you know, because you kind of like when you reveal like, oh, we've talked about you, you know, we've talked. And I think, yeah, Kale tilts her head to the side a little bit and like maybe goes to make the first move, and it's like, why, what? I know that you are a man who is very well versed in truth, so please, what truth do you see in his words?
He's not wrong. And I think, like, I imagine you're playing Rebel, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
undoubtedly. And so, yeah, Aaron makes like a really bold like move from like the defending side. And it's like, it is conviction that wins hearts and minds in a revolution. And certainty.
And I think Kale like sort of plays a bit defensively, which maybe is a like strange for her usually. It maybe indicates that like she has a bit of her pride from like earlier today as well, from being so aggressive. And And she says, perhaps, but a rebel with good intention and poor execution is a leader no one can get behind.
Ah. And the other thing, of course, though I'm sure Altair might not agree, and like another click, is that we're not just trying to build a rebellion. We can't. It's been too long. Your family weren't known enough. There are noble houses in this country where if they were killed, we could set a fire that would sweep right up to the High Straith. But fire alone is not going to get us where we need.
I think that's when Kale, I think, like, sort of has been trying to be cool, calm, and collected, and at that point, like, sort of makes maybe like a sloppy move. It's like, that's what I tried to tell him. You can set the fire ablaze, but if it will run out of control, then you're just going to hurt people.
It's not control I'm worried about. I just don't think there's the kindling to catch it. No. We need to kindle a revolution, but we also need to build a coalition. Coalitions are built on honesty. And I think there is I think there is a real contrast between the warmth of Oren's tone and the gentle smile on his face and the comfort that he is offering to you of acknowledging that yes, you and Altair both have a point, and let's try and see the strength of each other's perspectives. I think there's a real contrast between that and
how badly he's murdering you on the board.
Yeah, right. And not only that, but Oren is the plays that Oren is making in the game, he is doing exactly what Altair was doing. He is playing to upset you. He is playing a unyielding, high pressure, no room to think, no room to make it it's always you are having to deal with the things that he is doing, and there's never any space to try a gambit of your own. He's just closing you off.
I love it.
I think because he has a point to make about the dangers of being the the uprising against the established power block.
And I think I think you can see this is getting to Kay. She's a bit more tense. You can sort of see her breathing's a bit sort of shallow. And she, I think, says in response, actually, I think she makes another sort of sloppy play, loses a piece, and we can kind of see the rebels leaving the board a bit at a time. And I think you're
maybe
whatever
the equivalent piece. I imagine in this game there's an equivalent piece to a rook that is that blocks you can't take it. It's once it's planted, it just is there as a terrain piece almost.
Ooh,
and so I think Oren manages to split your forces, so that they're now separated on either side of this wall of they're probably called mountains or fucking whatever. Who knows?
Giving a table of game designers a fake game to play while they narrate
by the end of the campaign was the best idea ever. A copy of this game from either that.
And I think Kale even sort of does a shaky sort of sucks her breath in and sort of closes her eyes, and she's like, okay, how do I say this in a way that will articulate myself, because clearly that hasn't worked very well today. And says how do you reconcile the twisting paths of honesty and conviction? For I feel I have a lot of conviction and I have a lot of determination. I really want to see Maddox slain by my hand. Of course, he killed everything that I care about. But where is honesty in that conviction?
Yeah, and I think for the first time, the rhythm kind of there's a pause and there's a lull, and Oren thinks about that, really honestly stops and thinks about it. He doesn't just give you a pat answer. And I think he says, I think the beginning of marrying the two is in being honest with yourself. Do you want to see him slain by your hand? Is that what will bring you satisfaction? Is it that he must know what he's done wrong and he begs for his life? If you stab him in his chambers while he sleeps? If you pour the poison into his cup? Will that satisfy you?
Aaron, I don't think it's the means. I don't even care if he knows what he's done. I'd like to think he has to know what he's doing. Because well, either way, he definitely doesn't belong on this plane anymore. And I want to see him have a peaceful death. So he cannot hurt anyone anymore.
So then it isn't that you care that he dies at your hand, it's just that you want him dead. We have the coin, we could hire an assassin tomorrow. Will you be satisfied then? And then he gentles and he smiles and he says, Kale, self-knowledge is the work of a lifetime, the journey of a lifetime. I'm not asking you to have all these answers tonight. But I'm saying if your question is, how can I speak with conviction? How can I speak with certainty? How can I be the steel that Artair wants me to be? But how can I also have room for honesty and space to be a person? Uncertain and faltering.
Oh, please ask Artair this question.
It starts with figuring out really, truly what your convictions are.
In that case, would you do the honor of spending some time this evening and searching the paths and ways? Which I think it's like a shorthand for prayer.
Well, yeah, I think he shakes his head and I think he says, I don't know that it's prayer you need right now. Though, if you ask, you're my friend, I will not reject you. I think it's clarity of perspective.
We drank all the apricot brandy.
Yeah, and I think he laughs at that, and then he like waves his hand, and I think he knocks over the Maddock piece, the king of the defending king, and then starts setting up the board for a very asymmetric, beyond even the way that this game is normally played, like not setting up for a classic game, but setting up for the game that we are literally playing.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Nice.
And so, like, we've got like a bunch of it's like there are a bunch of like knights and bishops and like high value pieces on our side, but we have like squat all fucking peasants and pawns, whereas Maddock has like endless fucking armies of peasants. And it's like, and then like I think with every move he asks you some kind of like deeply personal and deeply pointed question about like your motivation in doing all of this, in this like very Socratic and also very like, it's almost, he's so gentle about it that almost makes it worse. Like, it's done with all the kindness in the world, but that doesn't make it any less kind of like pointed. Yeah, and I think we play that game, right?
I love it.
Cool.
Very, very
Oh, yeah.
cool.
Let's relieve some stress.
Relieve it.
Do we count as each other's friends? I don't think we do in the canon.
Not yet. I
On
I
the
do want to do
to-dos.
that though.
Yeah. That's Electro Project. It's
We should make a shared clock for that.
I'm down.
Nice.
Gosh. I think I'm traumaing on the next sortie.
Yeah, it's tough until you balance it. It's actually why I picked up a dot and insights that I could theoretically get to 2 dice on.
I know I still have 2 dice. It did not roll very well on my 2 dice.
Oh yeah, there's a button for stress, isn't there?
Indulge vice.
Yeah,
I know it's
just
Solace
rolled
here. It's just we're using the blade sheets with
No,
some
I
hacks.
just rolled the attribute because I forgot.
Same.
No, the rules for stress relief are a little bit different.
Yeah.
So yeah,
In which
I mean,
case,
if your thing is 2 dice, then yeah.
I think it is actually 1, but I just took the one that came first in the column. 'Cause that seems reasonable. Yada 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 yada. I think I am going to take my extra downtime action from calculating,
Uh-huh.
and I think I'm going to make this a 2-fold activity. And Judd, I would like to start a long-term project to make Kale my friend,
Aw.
Nice.
like mechanically.
Yeah.
Do it to it.
That sounds like a 6-part project. Does that make sense? That sound fair?
I took ambitious too, so you can take an extra segment for that, right? That's what it was.
Is that
Is
how
it? That's amazing. What is that?
It's during downtime you get 2 ticks to distribute among any long-term project clocks that involve forging alliances or developing your domain, which kind of counts,
Holy
right?
shit.
Friendship is an alliance, technically.
Yeah,
You
it's
could
a
also-
developing domain.
You could also throw both of those chips at his Find a Spy and find a spy right now.
Yeah.
Or split in between, right? Split in between. I got plenty of clocks going. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right,
Whatever
let
you'd
me-
like.
Let me roll that consort. This is 1 die.
I'll totally give you that segment for finding spies, but it comes with the catch of Arin. Kale says a thing that makes Arin realize that she picked it up off of Una. Because I imagine Una probably has a bit of insight into like sort of the sort of language nuance and sort of some of the. I think when you're a kid, you sort of probably are exposed to a lot of stuff like that. Because people are like, they're just a kid, like they're not gonna notice.
No, I'm gonna roll sway for this because I think that scene was not really a consort. It was not gentle enough to be a consort. Oof. Ideal, but oh well.
It's 1 segment.
Yeah, it's a start.
At least you can't fail.
At least I can't fail, you know? Yeah. I mean, Lauren, hold on to that because if we're going to do that, I would love to have you in the scene where we uncover this guy.
Oh yeah, cool.
I think that's the fair version of this.
Oh, I should probably do that.
All right, I am done with my downtime. I've done all my downtimes.
Cool.
Anybody
I
else
think
have any?
Yeah, I have one more. I don't think it will be particularly long. I think I would just like to start a long-term project to make Una a contact.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah,
Which
I
I think, yeah. Oh, do you have an idea for a thing, Jed, or?
Oh no,
Is this the letter writing? Is this the letter writing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
this
totally
is
letter
the
writing. I think
epistolary
this is
phase.
absolutely letter writing. And I think the way she's doing it is she's gone to Hawthorne, which is the capital of the kingdom, and she's presented herself to Maddox, right? Because her family was killed and she's got nowhere else to go. And one of her first fencing teachers is in the capital. So as that teacher's students like go out into the world, they bring letters with them and they eventually make it to you.
Oh, cool.
So that is how they're doing it right now.
I love it. Like, the scene can just be like sort of Kale passing off a note or something at,
Oh, yeah.
at that session.
Totally. Love it.
Yeah. And then I'll roll. This feels like a sway roll. Because.
Cool.
And what are the contents of that letter? No one needs to know. I got a 6. So I guess we should have figured
Awesome.
out how long of a project clock it should have been.
I think the make someone your friend. Let's just say that that's always a 6 o'clock.
Sure thing. And
Seems like it should be a little more than 4. So let's do it.
yeah. And the
Okay,
6 is how many
here's-
pips again?
Here's a question.
That's 2 pips, right?
Six,
A six?
6 is 3.
6
Oh,
3.
3 pips.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh wow, cool.
Here's a question. Is Kale trying to add Una as a contact or as a friendly contact?
Friendly contact. Yeah, well, will
Okay,
that make it a bit
Yeah,
bigger?
just because I think like if you just want them like on your sheet on the contact list, I think that's a 4. Because that just like means that they're like an NPC who's mechanically tied to you. It doesn't like
Gotcha.
it doesn't make them like a person who'll do you good favors and shit.
Yeah.
If that
No,
makes
yeah.
sense as a distinction.
Friend. Yeah, no, totally. You got your acquaintances and your inner circle.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that was my 2 downtimes.
Cool. So in the middle of this season of downtimes, Drostin and a couple of Drostin and his posse settle the castle, and then they kind of disappear for a couple weeks, and they come back in the middle of the night, and there's a lot of that thing when you're in a home or a castle for that matter, and you get to know the noises of it, and then when someone walks in and is in some kind of high stress, you can tell when something's wrong, right? You can tell when something, or that when something about the barometer has changed. And yeah, he comes home late one night with his most trusted posse of bandits, and you hear some screaming and cussing, and you hear Drostin's laughter, which you know very well, and you hear him say something about our honored guest, and yeah, whoever wants to engage with that can engage with that. But yeah, he's clearly gone out for a couple of weeks and come back with someone who doesn't want to be here.
He's done something precipitous. That's what he's done.
He sure has.
Awesome. I'm of course going to be there because can't have beehives being stirred without me sticking my nose in it.
Yeah, pretty much same, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's there is one tower attached to this keep, where you could hold it's 3 stories high, where you could conceivably hold a prisoner of noble birth. And Drostin's guys they've got a young man with a sack over his head, and his hands tied behind his back, and he's fighting them, and they're dragging him towards that tower.
You know you don't have to steal noble children for profit anymore, right?
Yeah, but it's just fun.
I pull the sack off to figure out whose kid this is.
Yeah, it is
Are in size.
it's Aiden Gare.
How's gear? This is really good for us.
Yeah, and the kid he's got a little trail of blood coming out of the corner of his mouth, and one of his eyes is a little swollen shut.
I
I think he's about the same age as Kale.
I think Artera looks at the kid, sort of thinks for looks at Drostin, he realizes that Drostin's his friend, actually on my sheet as a friend, and I should be able to handle this should be fine, and then thinks about it for a half second, then turns around and thrusts the hood, chucks it at Audrin and says, I think this is an Audrin problem. And then goes and sits down.
Oh my god.
and like watches what's about to happen here.
And Aaron just looks down at the hood in the most like, I cannot believe you've just like passed me the buck. And Way just sighs again, and like, you know, he's like 50. We've been woken up at like what, 1 a.m. in the morning.
I think if you realize that Arter has been up, like he's got like bandages like across his chest and everything, but he's like just kind of chilling with the folks, like drinking till late, chatting, right? Like, because my stress relief is camaraderie here, right? But I think like if you look at him, like, did you seriously just pass me the buck? I think he like pulls over his mug and like slurps extra loud.
So like Lauren, I have a feeling we're about to like have a back and forth here. I want you to enter the scene whenever you feel like it's the coolest queenly moment to rock out. Just like that's when you walk in. So whenever you feel like you need to do it, pick your moment and do it. Sound good?
Yeah, it sounds good. I was muted.
All right, cool. So Drosten looks at you and says, "What, Father? What's the problem?"
Yeah, and Aaron just like takes a long moment and like lets out a sigh, and it's just like, all right, here we go. Drosten, I'm not your father, and you're not a child. So I'm not interested in lecturing you or talking down to you. I want to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
This is dangerous. This is deeply fucking dangerous.
Yeah.
You have a castle now.
Yeah, I've got a place to keep him. Thank you for that.
And yeah, I don't think he smiles at that. And he says, yes, but it means two other things. It means they know exactly where to find you, which they didn't before. And it means that you have something to lose that you can't just take with you into the woods, which you could before.
Nice.
And you have gone off like a mouse and poked a hare. I don't know if you've ever seen hares fight in the summer. For such small creatures, you know, blood gets shed. Now, there's no point in recriminations. What's done is done. You're going to have a talk with Kale about this.
And I think
You swore
yeah,
fealty.
I think the prisoner says, "Who the fuck is Kale?"
I think Oren just like completely ignores him. Like doesn't even turn to look.
Yeah.
Just like, you swore loyalty to Kale. She is your rightful queen. A situation like this, someone has to tell her. I would prefer it not be me.
Nice.
Then we get the classic, like, sort of tell me what from the doorway is Kale, like, makes
Yeah.
the entrance.
Yeah.
You're phenomenal.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Yeah. And I think everyone takes a knee and the prisoner almost doesn't. And so one of the bandits like pushes behind one of his knees and gets him, on the ground. And so everyone like bows and he says, "Your Majesty, may I present to you Aedan Gare, heir of the lesser branch of House Gare."
And I think like Kale, we get the sort of classic sort of boots on the ground, heavy step towards like the prisoner kind of thing. Um,
What's she dressed at this o'clock?
uh, ooh, good question.
I guess what I'm really asking is, were you doing something where you're dressed like for riding or whatever, or are you like still pulling off regal even though you're like in a night robe?
Yeah, I think it has to be like sort of night robe with the riding coat over top, you know, like sort of like
Yeah.
sort of slung on in a bit of a hurry. So like, yeah, it looks very casual. Most of them we've seen her previously. That's probably a hair a bit. I guess like people braid their hair for bed in that period,
Yeah.
maybe so like maybe braided
Yeah,
hair.
yeah.
And I think it might be interesting if Kale knows him, but he doesn't know her, in the sense that she looks at him and is like, "Oh, you're Siobhan O'Malley's like son, right?" Like, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, yeah, I think yeah, when Kale looks at him and says like, "Oh yeah, you're like Siobhan O'Malley's kid," like or
Yeah,
son.
yeah, yeah. He says, and when you say like Sean O'Malley's kid, you mean like you know who he is, you know who his mom is, like
Yeah,
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like have studied some of the family lines who really fucked up my house and like between
Yeah,
now
yeah,
and then,
yeah.
right? You know, like I've
Yeah.
got their number.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I think his mom is currently like the head of that branch of House Gear, and his dad died in the attack on your family's castle.
Oh, nice.
Like he's one of the like couple of people who got killed in that fell ambush.
Right,
And,
right. And I guess they were helping ambush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he says Cal Lolaire.
Yeah. I'm Cal there. I remember Siobhan made a really nice Cullen skink. I remember when she brought it around to our home on the winter solstice. Before.
I thought you were dead. I heard you were all dead.
Yeah, Aaron smiles.
And I think Kale's I think smiles too and says like, you know, I guess it makes both of us, or rather, I can see quite a short end in sight for your future, cuz and I think she looks to Drosten and asks like where did you find him?
We've been keeping an eye on him in where the F are they? Where's that damn little town?
Avens.
In Whitebeam, yeah. He practices his archery in Avens, and so we waited till they were done. They got a little drunk on cider, and we nabbed them. And I think Adrian says, "Yeah, you should. I hope you mark and remember Avens, because those archers are going to murder you and all of your people." Is what he's saying it to Drosten.
Unless they work for us.
Right. They've served the Gear family for generations.
I think Arter says nothing, just looks confident and just keeps holding the boy's gaze.
I'm just cheating. Look at my XP triggers, so I remember them.
Good call.
I think
Very
Aaron
well.
looks like looks to Kale for like permission to speak.
And I think Kale like sort of does a little like nod, like sort of nod in Aaron's direction.
And Aaron says, "Young Master Gear, your family clearly has no problem with being subject to a Lolaire monarch, or else we wouldn't be here." And there's a whole depth of implication about his involvement in the overthrow,
Right.
you know, like contained in those words.
Right.
And he says, "I don't think anyone necessarily is talking about winning the archers of House Gear away from them."
I look at Audrin like he's spouting absolute nonsense right now, but like I keep it on the DL.
I think if I were you and I had an interest in living longer and having paths still to walk, I would ask myself, how best could I convince my dear Lady Mother that her current choice of allegiance was detrimental to the health of the family? And again, right, like,
Yeah.
you know, endless fathoms of implication
Yeah.
below that statement.
he
Only
laughs.
some of which is about his death, right? Like,
Yeah. He laughs and he says, "My aunt is the queen. What on earth do you think? Do you think Guiller's going to switch to this witch branch of Lolaire?"
I think currently your mother is the lesser power in your family, and that's perhaps a situation that she would like to change. And I think that, well, I imagine that your mother is probably quite fond of you.
Audrin, you're talking about blood relations to Maddox Lolaire.
I'm talking about relations by marriage, technically.
He smiles as he like sees this division and he says, "Why don't you all get your shit worked out? I'll be in the tower." And he like gets up and starts walking towards the tower. And Drosten looks at you, Cal, as and like to say, "I want to beat the shit out of him, and I'm looking at you for permission."
I think Archer's looking at Kale like, are we really talking about allying with a branch of Lolaire?
I think Aaron.
There's a lot going on.
I think Aaron wants to get a last word in before the kid storms off.
Yeah.
Am I gonna? Yeah, I'm gonna fucking do it. Aaron's not perfect. He's not above being petty.
Snipe!
Yeah, I think he just says, "It was terrible what happened to your father. I can only imagine that he's made a most ferocious wraith.
Oof.
Let's hope the prayers at your family home never falter."
He loses it. He turns and runs at you, and like Drosten's like the bandits who were escorting him to the tower like tackle the kid, and then he like, but he gets like face like, you know, inches away from you, and his just face is red, and tears are running down his face, but yeah, he lost his composure, and they drag him away.
And I think
to
I
lock
think
him
in the
tower.
moment before they drag him away, I think Oren just like lowers his voice and says, "Sit with this, Aiden. Hasn't your branch of the family sacrificed enough for Maddock Lolaire already?"
Oof. Do you want to start a clock?
Yeah, I would like to start a clock, Judge.
You want to flip this kid? Is that what you're looking to do?
I want to flip this fucking kid.
I think it's a 12-part clock.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's a pretty difficult clock.
It's a pretty difficult clock, but like, look, if we can make it work, he could be a great ally.
Oh. No.
I do also think it is worth mentioning, Strash. He is not a Lolaire.
I think that's totally fine. I think that Arter cannot 100% see the difference, and I think that
Yeah.
you
That's
trying to like hair split there is not going to convince him. But I think that this is one of those cases where, right, both of us have different advice for Kale, and Kale's gonna have to make decisions.
And Kale's gonna have to choose.
Yeah. I think
Todd,
I think it's perfect.
Is this an action roll, fortune roll? What are we looking at?
I think it's a fortune roll. Yeah.
Great, cool. What's my effect?
No, you know what? I think it is an action roll. I think we're kind of in free play. I think it is controlled standard.
Cool. Can I mark my fine vestments and like really lean to like this isn't just a person saying this is a priest saying this.
Right. Yeah, totally.
Which is not, kind of wildly inappropriate, but like again,
Yeah,
Oren doesn't
I love it. Yep.
Yeah, so does that take me up to great?
Yeah, you monster, it does.
And I got no bonus. Would anyone like to help?
No. Are you kidding?
Right now, Stash, all I've done is hurt his feelings.
Oh no, it's all good. How do I unhelp? Is there a go against the person action here? I'm kidding. Please just roll.
You don't wait. Artet doesn't want us to hurt this kid's feelings before we lock him in a tower.
Oh, it's nice. I think your character can play those games, but I don't think you're gonna get me on your side with it.
Hey,
Love it.
Also, all the hearts, Luke. I heart you so hard.
Lauren.
Ooh. I am likewise torn. I may, gosh, I have 5 stress remaining. So that, yeah,
That's a
I
good
could.
argument.
Listen, there's
I
no
get-
bad outcome here. If what we're doing is trying to advance the project clock, the worst result that Luke can get is 2 segments because you're great, right?
Yeah, it is an action roll, so things could go, but it's controlled. Like, fuck it, I'll just roll.
Yeah, you have to retreat and try a different way.
Boom, 2 ticks. Let's
Cool.
start.
Sweet.
Love it. Cool. And I want one more scene with Kale. So Kale, Isbel, the Imperial spy who was with Drosten when you got here, who has been brought into your group. I think like there's a morning where you wake up early and no one else has, and it's only the 2 of you really awake in the castle. And she says, "Can I show you something in town?"
Of course. Where should we meet? Or I guess we can go right now if you need to.
Yeah, we can walk. We can take horses. Which do you prefer?
I have not ridden it for some time. How about we take the horses?
Cool. And yeah, I think you ride into Bell Heather, and the smell of smoke is heavy in the air. And I think the inn where you started this whole thing in the riots has burned down. And she says, I'd like to show you something inside. I think we had outgrown this place anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Of course. I think Kel probably. I'm guessing it's sort of ashes. It's not as hot. Like it may be a bit warm still, but
Right. Yeah.
it's traversable without being like dangerous. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the main part of the inn was like this near ancient stone building, and then like there was a lot of wood built up around it, and so like the wood had burned down, but like there's still this like stone uh shell that whose foundation will probably be there for another 1,000 years. And she walks you inside, and there's a support beam, and someone has carved into it Maddox Lolaire's eagle.
Oh, interesting. Ooh.
And she
I think.
says,
Yeah.
"Yeah, no, you go. You go."
No, yeah, I think Kale takes a deep breath of like sort of wet, smoky air, and looks to Isabel and says, "What do you make of the situation? Have you identified an actor?"
No. Someone was trying to get a rise out of you. The riots were because people are worried that this is going to bring war to the Sedglins. They might not be wrong.
I think like I don't think Kale says this out loud, but I think she does think to herself like, oh, if they really wanted to get a rise out of me, they need to talk to Altair. Uh, but I think she nods and she says like, this wasn't unanticipated. It makes sense that there are people who want to retaliate and react to what we're doing here.
Mhm.
I guess the important thing is to make sure it doesn't escalate. Have you leads?
I don't. I wanted to show you this because we're not at war yet, and because you said something that made Altair flinch, and it made me flinch too. You said, if we make it to Hawthorne. And those aren't the words of a rebel queen who makes it to Hawthorne.
I think like Kale lets out another breath and like a sigh, and you can sort of see on her face she's like, oh, fucking this again. Like if people have put so much weight in words.
Listen, I'm not asking you to explain it to me. I'm asking you to show me. And she gestures to the horse, and you realize that like the saddlebags are like way more packed than you realized. And she says, that's enough food to get you to the next province, probably farther. There's some coin in there too. Do you know your cousin, Connell Lolaire?
Of course. Bastard.
He's grown into a pretty nice kid. He's quiet. He makes good friends. He's nice to animals, which always seems like a sign of good things to me. He'd be a pretty good king. And only 2 men would have to die. Your uncle Maddox and your other uncle, his brother, Judic. There would be some problems with the Gier family. They're pretty ambitious, but the Empress is confident that they could sort that out and put Connell on the throne if this isn't what you want. So I'm not asking you to stay anything. I'm asking you to ride back with me to this first keep you've taken and reach Hawthorne without a doubt. Or get on that very same horse. Don't say a word to me. Don't say a word to Arter. Don't say a word to Orden. Just disappear. You'll find a good life. You'll find a happy life somewhere.
And I think Kale. I think she bites down on her bottom lip and like fixes Isabel with like this for like sort of contemplative like stare. And I think she says, "Thank you for not demanding an explanation." I feel at least 90% of this job, so 90% of my efforts so far have been explaining why to people when the why is still coming. But that doesn't take away from our ultimate goal here. And I would a million times over prefer to prove myself with actions than words. And I think that's like, you know, when she sort of saddles up to like ride back to the keep.
Awesome. Yep, that's it. That's what I wanted. Awesome. Sounds good.
Awesome.
Any other downtime things? Should we take a break and then talk about it?
I should actually get my downtimes wrapped up ASAP.
Yep.
The first one being I need to do a solace, and I need to do a recovery. So, let me just throw some dice at those real quick. I don't know that I need anything particularly magical. If I do camaraderie with Drostin and his folks at their keep, Drostin's one of my friends. That's worth a die, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let me do that. Clear 5 stress. And then, how does recover work again? Help me out here, Luke. You asked me to wait until you had some stress.
Yeah, well, it's crew tier,
which is 1, right?
Crew tier is the default. Another character can help you with the usual helping rules. So I can help if you would like. Because I got the stress.
Would you be willing to?
Yep.
Thank you, friend.
Yeah, and then eventually when I get the right ability, I'm going to be able to do it with prey instead of with tier.
Yeah, which will help a lot.
And we'll get extra die and it'll be better. But for now, it's the best we can do.
Let's do the do.
I am curious, like what the vibe is in this scene, right? Like, where.
I recovered Jack.
Aaron is helping to tend to Arter. Is it like a tense silence? Is it like a we both agree not to talk about it silence?
I don't know. Do you say anything? I think like Arter has kind of like a. Well, I mean, if you look at his body, it is a body that's seen like dozens of battlefields, right? Like he's got scars aplenty, not to mention those like wraith marks, right? Like he's been through some stuff, right? And so I think that he treats this the same way, like he basically like plops down because you're like technically the company medic and like does exactly what you say, sits largely unmoving, and treats this as like an obligation, much like eating. Like you have to eat in order to keep moving forward, so he does that. And so like this is a very similar sort of process. Like
you have to let Oren put bandages on you because you can't reach behind your own back to put bandages on very well. Yeah.
Right. And so like, well, it's not even that. It's like just other people can tighten stuff and do things like this is normal, exactly. Right? But he's like used to it, so he's treating it like waking up or going to sleep. Like it's a part of life. It's routine. So I don't think that it's tense necessarily. But if you want conversation, you're probably the one that has to initiate it, right? Like it's not.
Yeah,
it's gruff.
I don't think the conversation happens here. I think Oren is content for this just to be like a simple like. You know, the two of us are in a room together because Oren knows that at some point a conversation about it is going to have to happen. And so it's just like, it's fine. Like, we'll get to it when we get to it. Like,
okay. That's what is it that you want to talk about just so that Strash knows? Because like our
Well, you
chair
said-
doesn't have anything to talk about on his docket per se, so he doesn't.
I think Oren, Oren would like to talk about this kid, and what's going to become of this Gear kid, right? Like,
It's about this gear kid. No. Okay, cool. That's actually a good conversation to have, but we'll see. We'll see. So not here, huh? Okay.
I don't think so. Especially because like Kale should be in on that conversation, right?
No, absolutely.
Cool. What a good downtime, everyone.
Yeah.
It was a terrible downtime for me. I healed like nothing. It's gonna be fall before I can do anything. We'll
Yeah,
see.
No, like this was a pretty bad downtime, all told. Like my stress is still up there, you know.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see.
Actually, I mean, we do have 7 coin strash.
Nah. Judd, did we ever get back the ruling on the coin?
Uh,
I know you asked at the end of last game because you sent a message, but I don't know if you got anything back.
Judd's been put on the spot.
Dun,
I believe
dun,
I
dun.
did. I'll look during. But why don't we've been at this an hour 40? So
Yeah,
why
this
don't
is
we
pretty
take a
good-
break?
pretty good
Yeah, sure.
time for a
Let's
break,
let's take a break, and I'll make some tea, and when we come back, we'll dive back in and figure out what the heck we're doing next. I think we're
Sounds good.
are we shifting provinces?
Maybe.
With you not in fighting state, I don't know that that's a good idea.
Oh, don't let that slow you down. Not even a little. So
Advancing tier costs tier times 4 coin.
Yeah, the question is that new tier or is that original
current tier.
Tier we're starting from or tier we're going to?
I mean, if it's
Um,
tier times 4, you're current. I think we're good. Then we have 3 coin to spare, unless we're trying to save up for next advance.
What is
do
do we have a precedent with other?
Yeah,
Force in the Dark
core
game?
blades. Core blades actually looks a tier ahead, and this is a lot more core blades than any other Force in the Dark game.
Cool.
But
Let's use that.
there's some question about the words. So if you can figure
Yeah,
that
yeah.
out, I don't know, because
I'll dig up my copy of Core Blades.
yeah, all right,
All right.
sounds good.
All right.
Let's take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll see where we're headed next.
Awesome.
Cool.